So all this is defined and explained in a unified way in the specific standard. So next problem or next questionable aspect is the difference between checking, revision, reviewing, and proofreading. This is just an example for you to understand why we need a standard, why we need an international standard. So to understand what is meant by checking, revising, reviewing, and proofreading. So in the market, we have serious problems concerning the usage of such terms. And this is, of course, a general problem. So we need to solve such problems, and the answer is the standard, very simple. For instance, checking according to the standard is the examination of target language content. The examination of language target content. المراجع نفسه, المترجم نفسه, by the translator. So the translator has to check after finishing, after translating the text. So this is the first step, and the revision is bilingual examination of target language content against the source language content. So it means, of course, for its suitability for the agreed purpose and audience. Yes, we say here that the reviser is a bilingual editor because it is an act of bilingual editing. And therefore, it's wrong when we say editor and mean reviser. Next term is reviewing. Review is monolingual examination of target language content for its suitability for the purpose and audience as well. For the purpose and audience. So it means this is the reviewer is actually a monolingual editor. So we have two editors in the translation cycle. The one is against the source language content for the suitability of purpose and audience, of course, and the monolingual examiner here is the reviewer. Yeah, like a lawyer, for instance, or any expert in a specific field. So, and finally, the proofreading is the examination of the revised target language content, and after applying corrections before printing. So this is the correct meaning behind the very questionable terms within the translation cycle. So then we see the resources under chapter number 3, which covers both aspects actually, the human resources and the technical resources. Under human resources, we see the responsibility, we find the professional competences of translators, the professional competences of revisers and reviewers, and the project managers as well. So finally, recording regular maintenance and updating of required competences. So those 8 chapters you find in details under the point 3.1 human resources, and the technical and technological resources, we have here all aspects, the technical aspects within the translation cycle. So it means that the aspects here are requirements. Those requirements are in the same time the recommendation of the technical committees, because everybody can apply the international standard regardless of if you receive a certificate from a certification body or not. So if you go through the final examination, final auditing, certification auditing, you get the certificate after passing all aspects of the audit. But you can also do it by yourself, but you haven't the evidence for the outside world, of course. But this is why the ISO standards is willing to spread the sense behind the standard. So you have the options. Either you do it by yourself and you apply the requirements for your improvement, development, whatever, or you do it as an evidence. In that way, or in this case, you have to get a certificate by a certification body. So next chapter covers the pre-production processes and activities, such as inquiry and visibility, quotation, client TSP agreement, handling of project-related client information, and finally the project preparation. This is a focus here because in the project management cycle we find the most important steps within the cycle. So under this point we have administrative activities, technical aspects of the project preparation, and finally linguistic specification. In the production process, and this is the time where we produce the translation, we cover all aspects related to the translation cycle itself, like translation service, project management, and the translation process itself covers the translation, the checking, the revising, the reviewing, and proofreading, and finally the final verification step and release. Then we have the post-production process, which covers two main aspects to close the cycle finally with the feedback, client feedback, analyzing the feedback, creating action plan, and so on. And finally closing administration steps to make sure everything is in the right way. So finally, we find some annexes in each standard which deliver some support and help for you. Like, for instance, here the translation workflow, how it should be step by step. How could you follow a translation cycle, a workflow which is approved by the TC37 technical committee. Next one, about agreements in project specifications. Some companies, some people have some problems and don't know how to create an agreement with a client, for instance. Here is a good example as an XP. And then the project registration reporting, This is also some very important points to start with the new project. And then the translation technology, which is the subject of our conference. So we have a recommendation paper, a complete concept about the translation technology you should follow and you should know about. And finally, a list of value-added services which a service language provider or a translation service provider can offer. So this is a brief introduction of the ISO 17100, and I hope I could give you an explanation how does the ISO work, and about the contents of ISO 17100. Now to the question time.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much.